are absolutely live now. Still can give the people some time to come in tonight. You guys, I am so excited to be here because we have an amazing speaker. Um, she's an amazing woman, amazing speaker, amazing author. And I can't wait to get the nuggets that she has for us on this evening. I want you to get your pen and your paper and whatever you need. Of course, y'all see me with my phone all the time because I'm over here snapping pictures and I'm also over. I'm tweeting what she's saying, and I hope you do the same. So I'm gonna give some people some time to come in. Come on in to Purpose Professionals because you all have purpose. You guys have already said you're on your way and you got your pen and your paper. And, I normally have my handy dandy notebook. Y'all know where I get that from. When you have children, that's what your handy dandy notebook. So we just have, like I said, an amazing speaker. I don't want to tell you all her secrets, and I don't want to tell you everything about her because I don't want to spoil the surprise. That's right. Come on in, you guys. I don't want to spoil the surprise. Just know that we're going to be truly blessed by Brenda Smalls on this evening, and I am elated. Y'all normally don't hear me get all just like giddy. I'm elated because I hadn't seen her since I believe last year. Hadn't seen her since last year, and she was actually on a Speak Life empowerment series on last year, I believe, and it was amazing. You guys some of you have heard her before, but if this is your first time, you are in for a special treat because, again, like I say, she's an amazing woman, and I am privileged to have her on my platform. Make sure you when she's done, make sure you look at her books and her products, and she's going to start giving out some prizes. So I want you, to those that are in Purpose Professionals, make sure you're taking good notes because we're going to go back to the group and see who's taking notes and see who's paying attention, so you too can get a prize or a gift from Brenda. I'm going to do it. Don't make me win everything, okay? Don't let me win everything, because I'm definitely going to try to win something. You understand what I'm saying? So, all right. Without further ado, I know it's 9:02, and I just want to welcome you, Brenda. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Letitia. You are just amazing yourself. You're so wonderful, and your giving and caring spirit is really what I think attracted both of us. So it's great to be here. As Letitia said, I'm going to be dropping some nuggets, so get ready to take some notes. When Letitia, you mentioned I was to speak life on relationships, the first thing that came to mind was male-female relationships. I didn't think about business. I didn't think about much of anything else. But it was about that partnering, about the marriage thing, because I've recently been in a drama situation, let's say. And so the interesting thing was, actually, I was a little bit uncomfortable even kind of thinking about sharing it. And then I thought, this is going to work out because actually me and that special someone had been going through some conversation and actually were jotting down some of the reasons why we clashed. Why we collided. And I thought, this would be a good topic to actually share because we actually were sharing with each other about some of the things that had happened and we're kind of dissecting them. And so I thought that was important. And then I thought of a 4-letter word. And I said, how can I speak life into an external relationship before I even speak life into an internal one with myself? So I said, self, you can't talk about somebody else, about trying to get somebody else straight before you get yourself straight. And there's been certainly some transformation that's been going on with me in the last couple of years. So there's really 2 messages this evening: speak a life to self, and then speak a life to partner relationships. And I'm going to pretty much kind of focus on the traditional male-female relationships, with spouse, with significant others, with marriages. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Brenda Small, CEO with Powered with Potential, LLC, where I like to say we empower you to act, shun, from the inside out. And the A stands for answer the wake-up call. The C is connect to your untapped potential. And the T is to turn off snooze. So act, answer the wake-up call. You got to wake up. C, connect to your untapped potential. And T, to turn off snooze so you can execute and elevate your potential to its greatest level. You know, there was in fact, I was preparing for a speech last year, and I was doing some Google searches and came across this statistic. 95% of most people will never realize their full potential. I just found that amazing. I found that statistic just astounding, actually. And so it empowered me to not want to have women around me, women that I come in contact with, women that I touch, become a statistic. So are you in the 95% of those that fall? Or are you going to be in the 5% of those that elevate themselves to champion potential, I call it? That's what it's all about. So you don't want to be a statistic. You know, Power with Potential came about because I pretty much had to navigate this journey, this business and career professional journey by myself. And I don't want to see other women have to do that. There's been too many of us that have been trailblazers, who have been out there, who are ready to take you by the hand and show you how you can actually maneuver this life, how you can push yourself a little bit more. You know, I call it doing the internal cleanup process, working from the inside out to overcome, you know, the potential barriers that block our passions, our purpose, and our promise. And so at the end of the talk, I'm going to share with you how to connect with me. First, you know, I have an empowerment platform for speaking, and then business and career and success coaching. And I'm also going to do a special bonus giveaway from my website, as well as a complimentary offer. I've got a new book coming out called Powered with Potential, Ignite Your Inner Dynamic, a 30-day plan to creating a better you. And so I want to be able to offer that to some of you that are actually on the call, complimentary. So stay around. You never find yourself until you face the truth. You never find yourself until you face the truth. And that's singer and actress Pearl Bailey. So I'm probably dating myself a little bit, because some of you younger folks probably don't even know who Pearl Bailey actually was. But she was a legendary singer and vaudeville actress. And every day, you know, the little girl that me, and actually her name is Dependency. And sometimes she behaves, you know, and she's quiet. But other times she actually acts up and wants to bring up things from my past that, you know, weaken my spirit, you know, that really make me sad, actually, and want to cry. And so if you can picture Dependency between the ages of 8 and 11 years old, you know, walking to elementary school, dragging her feet close to the ground. And that's because she didn't want the other kids to see the holes in the bottom of her shoe soles. Dependency is the eldest of 10 children. She was raised by a stay-at-home mom and, you know, a working dad. Dad was a chef, but my dad was also an alcoholic. And I can admit that now. Back in those days, it was, you know, it was okay for men to drink and drink a lot. But that alcoholism started causing problems in my mom and dad's marriage. Little beknownst to us, and I was, again, the oldest, I knew my dad had a gun, but my mom one day said, we're going to move. Now, mind you, the babies kept coming year after year. Things were tight. Dad's paycheck, while he made decent money, he was a noted chef in the area, just didn't stretch. So, you know, I got used to waiting my turn as the oldest of 10 until I could get a new pair of shoes, or, you know, the sneakers with the little toe coming through the top, you know, was always pretty common. Sometimes we had food. And I remember sometimes when the refrigerator was actually bare. I never saw my dad, you know, I've heard some other speakers and their stories, but I never saw my dad actually be violent, you know, hit my mom, cuss my mom, yes, but never any physical violence. My mom shared with us that dad would hold the gun to her head. And so there were moments that only she, you know, is privy to. And so I have to respect that, because I love my dad. You know, again, I was daddy's little girl, the oldest of 10. So one day mom said to us, we're moving. Mind you, she had just had my youngest sister, the 10th, and we moved. We left. I was 14 years old. My mom put Crystal on her hip, and there we went into a new house. Mom wasn't working, so welfare and food stamps became our means of support. I applaud my mom as a single parent of 10 children for raising us and doing the best that she could do. She's a woman of faith, and it was that faith that actually has carried her through to this day. She is now 88 years old and still caring for her great-grandchildren and her grandchildren. I say all that to say that Dependency's life was not an easy one. She went through, breakdowns and breakups and even breakthroughs. But what I do realize is that those circumstances were my reality. And there was a lot more to that. My pregnancy in my senior year of high school, graduating with honors. People tell you you're not going to be anything. I was never told that I could not be something. In fact, mom and dad always encouraged us to embrace education because that was really my way out. That was my way out of lack. That was my way out of dependency. That was my way out of being poor, of not having, wearing Salvation Army clothes, having, the churches and Salvation Army bring food baskets. That wasn't the life I had chosen for myself. That was the hand I was dealt. But I learned to play that hand. I learned to make the best of what I had. And so those circumstances were my reality, but they weren't my destiny. I knew that. I knew I wanted more in life. And so I chose to go after a lot more. Dependency, though, still sticks with me. And even after all these years, she won't let me go. Or maybe it's that I won't let dependency go, okay? And I think we all have a little girl or a little boy or a ride or die, what I call roadie, that travels with us and weighs us down because, mine is dependency, but the dependency always brings extra baggage. Even when I'm trying to leave her at home and having her not accompany me through life, but there she is. And so, who's yours? It might be self-esteem. It might be fear. It might be loss. You've got to answer that question. But I've learned that truth will not reveal itself until I do. Truth will not reveal itself until I do. And for so many years, I really didn't walk in my truth, and stand in my power, as we say. But truth is reality. And why? Because you know what? Truth hurts, reality hurts, it's embarrassing, it's painful, it's shameful, it's dirty, it's messy. I mean, who goes around bragging about the fact that you were raised on welfare and food stamps? I mean, nobody does that. Nobody does that. But I have also learned, as I speak life to myself, that truth is a healer. That truth is like oxygen for my mind and my body and my spirit. You have to have it to breathe. It's a healing ingredient. So it's almost like massage oil for the body. It helps us stay toned and supple. And when you get massages, it's removing the toxins from your body. Truth is like a message of hope for me. It's hope for the mind because it's focusing on positive things. Think on all good things, scripture says. And then truth is like a maintenance tune-up, because it keeps our spirits alive and in shape, and it keeps our whole bodies functioning properly. So, I have to embrace truth, and I encourage you to embrace truth, even as hurtful as it may be. So I want you just to jot down these questions. The first actually is, who are you? Who are you? Because we walk around, and I certainly know that I still do, sometimes not even knowing which face I have on any given day. Who are you? Are you real or imposter? What are you looking for? For the longest, I didn't really know what I was looking for. And we're talking again about relationships. What are you looking for in it? And where are you looking for it? And who are you looking for it from? Because I think we've all gone through, particularly as women, we've all gone through these situations where we look to other people to satisfy us. We look to other people for the answers that really only we carry on the inside of us. And that's why it's so important to work from the inside out. Because what's on the inside eventually is going to show up on the outside. And so if we have anger, bitterness, fear, those things are going to actually show in some way, shape, or form in our behavior, in our relationships with other people, whether they be, again, marital relationships or work relationships or business relationships. The last couple of years, I've done a lot of soul searching myself, a lot of internal cleanup. And what I realized is that there's 4 what I call pain points. I didn't even realize this before. I didn't even realize that I had a story, to be honest with you, until I actually started professional speaking and start sharing about my past, my history, my childhood. And those 4 pain points are this. The first actually is fear of not having enough and not being enough. And that comes from being the oldest of 10 and going through the lack and the dependency. You know, the art of sacrifice. When you're the oldest of 10, you really have to give up some stuff. You can't be number 1. And being big sis meant carrying a lot of responsibility, right? Because it was always a baby. It was always a baby that needed to be cared for. And I was that person to help mom do it. So I would wait my turn until my dad's paycheck. And then eventually mom's welfare check could stretch far enough to get me that new dress or the new pair of shoes or the new sneakers or the books for school or whatever it was. The second thing was concern about failure and loss. You know, I lost a 2-parent family when my mom and dad separated, you know, because of his alcoholism. And my dad died actually when I was 18. I got pregnant in high school, as I mentioned to you. Mom and dad is separated. And so my dad passed away in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at the age of 50. He never got to see his first grandchild. So for, honestly, 32 years, I carried the fear of dying at the age of 50 because my dad died at the age of 50. Well, thankfully, 50 has come and gone. And here I am. I'm still here. Thank the Lord. So the concern about losing something, you know, I'll be the first to say to you that I hold on to things too long. And I particularly have done that in relationships. I have overstayed assignments, including divine assignments, for fear of letting something go to now pick up something else. Just the thought of the uncertainty, the thought of not being able to have and have enough has really been a big problem of mine. But that concern about failure and loss is the second big one. The third one, it actually is holding on to lack and dependency of the past. There's still a fear that somehow I will fall back. I'll fall backwards in spite of all of the accomplishments and the achievements that I have to this date, that I'll be put into a position where I still can't make it. I can't make ends meet because I have gone through my young adult life and even my adult life still in lack situations, you know, still dependent upon somebody else when I was working a job. You know, having the IRS tack on liens on salary. I've been there, done that. Going to a little stop and shop to cash pennies in the penny machine just to have enough money to do gas and a little bit of food to get you to the next day. I've been there, done that. There have been so many drought situations, and some of them I truly believe that God had a hand in. You know, we're always being tested so we can have a testimony. We're always going through some messy situation, so we have a message to share. So I truly believe that. At the same time, much of it stems from my past and holding on to things that really I need to let go. Things that you may need to let go so that you can move yourself forward, start a new chapter in that book. So holding on to lack and dependency, I know, of the past has been a major issue. My mom is a true servant. She's a true woman of faith. And so she has been thankful for even the smallest things in life, the littlest things. So we were always raised to be thankful, to be grateful for even the little that you have and are fortunate to receive. And so I carry that. So the thought, you know, again, you have to be careful what you ask for, because the thought of saying you want to be financially independent, financial freedom, right? We start to self-sabotage ourselves. We start to repel the very things we say we want because now we feel guilty. Or, well, that's too materialistic, right? I'm okay with this furniture. I'm okay with this wardrobe. So we start to deprive ourselves of the very things we're working so hard for to advance ourselves so that we can have a better life and have a better life for those that we love. So that I can give back to my mom after all the things that she has sacrificed for all of us, her 10 children, and now her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. She still gives, and she still has very, very little. She's on fixed income now. So it's just that same attitude of faith that she has, that still has transferred to me, that I'm still carrying a lot of the past in my life. So we have to be careful, again, what we assume and the baggage that we continue to carry with us that we need to just set aside, let go, throw it away. The fourth is getting in my own way, because I will share with you, and I'm sure that many of you do the same thing. You play mind games. You know, we have these mental conversations with ourselves. That little girl with a hole in her shoe soles is not good enough. She's just not good enough. How many times have I said to myself, I'm not going to pursue that. I'm not going there because I'm just not comfortable that I'm going to make it. I'm just not good enough. I don't have what it takes. And yet, I have overcome odds. I've overcame the odds of being pregnant in high school and graduated with honors. I then went on to college and graduated cum laude, even though the dean of the undergraduate school had the nerve to sit there and tell me I wasn't going to make it. Going to school, full-time nights, right? Full-time evenings, because I had to work multiple jobs during the daytime, take care of my daughter. You know, married at 18, divorced by 24. So there was no prom that year. I mean, all I knew was work. Work hard, and eventually you'll make something of yourself. One of my favorite motivational speakers, Jim Rohn, says you can have more than you got by becoming more than you are. I didn't know who Jim Rohn was back in the day, but I embraced you can have more than you got by becoming more than you are. And so I embraced education, again, as my way out of that lack and that dependency. Now, I share all of these things because I've proven again and again that I can overcome the odds for success. But it takes pushing past the pains of life to deliver the possibilities. And so I pushed past the pains of life to deliver the possibilities. And I didn't allow the circumstances to confine me, right? I didn't allow them to confine me. I came across a quote that I think is just so powerful, that most of the shadows of this life are caused by our standing in our own sunshine. Most of the shadows of this life are caused by our standing in our own sunshine. And that's author Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, he's way back in the day. So as we go into relationships, particularly, again, male-female relationships and in our marriages, we're carrying a lot of stuff along with us. Even if we think we've cleaned it up, that we've left it in the past. Because we may think we're done with the past, but the past is not done with us. We may think we're done with the past, but the past is not done with us. And so it brings me to speaking life into relationships with our partners, what I'll call partner relationships. And there's another four-letter word that I think about. And that word is love. Because scripture says that love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Rejoices with the truth. And love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. That's what love is. So how is it that one minute we're all warm and cuddly and kissy and huggy, loving and respecting each other, and then, most recently in my case, after 18 years, you're not feeling me anymore? Now, I'm not married. I'm not living with the partner, but 18 years. And it reminded me of another scenario, again, a relationship where I put in 20 years, only to again separate. Not on bad notes. There was never any throwdowns and cussing and physical violence, none of that. But there's always a mental hurt. There's a physical hurt because you realize you've really shorted yourself. You've shorted yourself because you didn't believe enough in yourself. You didn't have enough going on, bringing again that past of not being enough and looking for your satisfaction, looking for yourself to be fulfilled by somebody else, when all the answers are really on the inside of you. And so then, bam, crash. I had just been hit and wasn't sure what had happened. That takes me into how women and men collide in relationships. We get blindsided. We blindside ourselves. So I've been 2 times married and divorced. And as I mentioned, in each one of those, there was never any physical or like what I really would consider mental abuse. No name calling. There was infidelity. There was dishonesty. There was disrespect. There was disillusionment. There was definitely financial strain. And the 2 things lacking out of both of those marriages and relationships was, and not on my part, but on the other individual's part, was Christianity and faith. Because neither of those men actually really truly believed in God. I'm raised with the Lord. We went to Sunday school all the time and church all the time and prayed all the time because that's my mom, how she was raised. And so there wasn't a central focus on faith, on being a Christian, on honoring biblical principles. That's what was missing big time in those relationships. When the scenario happened back in November of last year, 2015, I couldn't figure out what really went wrong. Now, it's a lot of times we're in denial about some things. And so during the course of those 18 years, we were, kind of off and on, in and out, up and down, and all that good stuff. And I had constantly prayed to God, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So show me that. If it's not, I'm okay with that too. And let me walk away and then guide my steps to somewhere else. But each time there would then be a going back, okay? Good person, faithful person, Christian man. Lots of things going on with him in a positive way. But this last time, I said to myself, okay, this is it. But I was very, very hurt that I put that amount of time in and that somebody could just kind of dismiss it, or maybe just dismiss me that easily. And you tend to kind of understand some language, I should say. No, I don't think we really kind of cut it right now. And patterns change, things like that. But I said to myself, this is a quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer, who recently passed away. To have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. Have a mind that is open to everything, attached to nothing. And so I was fine with the separation. I think I was more hurt by the fact that it had been so long, that I had put so much time and effort into the relationship, only for it to just be dissolved in a matter of minutes. So I wasn't going out like that. I'm an Aries. I'm on that cusp, Aries Taurus. So, I can be a bit stubborn. And I said, this is not fair, because I know that I was not the entire fault. So finger pointing and blame should not have been directed only at myself. And so I called the individual. I said, you know what, Lord, I'm going to go ahead and make this call. I'm going to give it one more shot. And it was not to get back together. It was to really talk through the collision and what had happened. And we found ourselves on the phone for several hours talking through what happened. We finally realized what was going on. So I want to just talk about what I call the collision points. You know, how men and women tend to clash and crash, and oftentimes aren't even aware that that's the path that they're headed on. So, I mean, think about how crashes start to begin with. You know, I mean, when you're on the road driving, you will collide with another car because, one, you're not paying attention. You're too busy maybe looking in the rearview mirror, the past, rather than looking forward into the future or the present. You are in denial that there's actually something that's negative going on. You know, there's reasons why we collide. The past versus the present. My pain points versus what I call my power points. You know, what baggage are you both carrying and then dumping on each other? Sometimes it's visible. You know, sometimes it's actually hidden. You don't even know that you're doing it. My prior marriage, one of my prior marriages, I'm still angry. I'm still angry, actually, and I realized this the other day, from just a financial support to raise my daughter, because that individual always found a way not to work. And yes, we were both young at the time, but I'm not going to allow that excuse either. He then remarried. He took care of his second wife and children. And so I find myself still being, you know, bitter over the fact that some other woman has gotten your time and your love and your attention and your money, right? Self-esteem. I didn't always think that I was a good-looking person. You know, I could find the faults of myself. You know, bow-legged, you know, big ears, bug eyes, you know, all those things that we do to ourselves. The stigma of a large family. So there were some things that I knew that, you know, again, I brought into relationships myself, looking for somebody else to comfort, console me in those respects. The current individual, you know, has some things going on with his sons and life and even his. And so it really got back to the choices that we have made, some of the disappointments with some of the decisions that we've actually made in our own lives and for our own selves. You got to stay in the present, you know, and we had to stop pointing fingers and placing blame on each other for things that had occurred. The other, and while this wasn't necessarily part of our scenario, and some of the things I'm going to cover aren't all inclusive. You know, you certainly will have your own pain points and power points, but love versus lust. We fall into, are you in love or are you in lust? And particularly as women, we tend to fall in lust many times because we take some of the behavior that men show us. They happen to be kind, they take us out, we do dinner, they may even buy us something, and all of a sudden we're in love. You know, all of a sudden now we want to be with this person forever. And that may not be the same indication on their part. They're just being nice to me and Sally and Janie and whoever else. And that's, again, not to place negative blame necessarily on us, on a male. But love is a really feeling of intense or deep affection for somebody. You know, that's on the inside, where lust is just a strong sexual desire. It's momentary. It's fleshly desires. And so there's a distinction there. So are you in love or are you in lust? That's an important question to ask yourself, and not to take what somebody else does, you know, as an indication that they now want to marry you if you're not married. So love or lust, there is a distinction. The other is lies versus truth. You know, we've talked about truth. Who are you today? Because oftentimes we come home, you know, I'm fortunate to come home, but I don't have anybody nagging me. I don't have anybody, you know, depriving me of my time, at least not now. Of course, when I was married, it was a different story. And when I was raising my two girls, obviously my time was taken up with being a mom, working, being a professional, and all those good things. But the lies you live overshadow the truths you hide. The lies you live overshadow the truths you hide. And we've all got some cover up going on. We've all had some cover up going on in our lives. And many times, even today, we still do. The authentic self is the soul made visible. Now, I never heard of this person, Sarah Ban Breakneck, but it's a powerful quote. The authentic self is the soul made visible. So it means you're opening yourself up for the whole world to see when you are in your truth. And we've talked about truth being a healer. But truth will not reveal itself now that we're in a relationship with somebody else until we both do. And that's what happened in the most recent relationship. We both started revealing our truths to each other because we felt we were in a safe place. There was really nothing to hide at that point. And I think there was some pressure relieved because we still had not come back together, but there was a greater respect. In fact, we are probably, it's like dating again. It's like having fun again. We're respecting each other again. So truth versus lies is critical. Believers versus non-believers. You know, oil and water don't mix. The word and the world are not compatible. And so when you've got two people, you know, one who again is in the word and Christian, and the other who is not, who does not believe necessarily in the world or the word, then you've got extreme opposites. You know, so my first and second marriages were not spiritually centered or grounded. And we tend to collide because we don't many times ask the questions and have these kinds of discussions in the beginning when we're dating. The way I learned this, the way that somebody is when you're dating, and we're always, you know, out having a great time and dancing and cocktailing and all those things. And then we make the mistake of thinking that that's going to all change when he puts a ring on it. The way the person is, the way that you are, then is the way that you're still bringing forward into a relationship. And it's only by conscious choice and conscious decision that you alter some of those behaviors. We've all been there. We've all been there and done that. But we still fall into the traps. We still fall into those traps. And I'm fortunate, again, that in the current scenario, I've got a believer, you know, and I certainly am a believer. I don't have an answer for you if you're with a non-believer in terms of whether you stay, you don't stay. Again, life is much more complicated than that. Relationships are much more complicated than that. People are much more complicated with that. So you have to look at the whole person, the entire person. But you have to first really look at yourself. You know, what am I bringing into this relationship? What baggage am I carrying? What things am I doing to cause some issues? Because I realize today, I have nobody else to blame for anything. All the decisions were my decisions. Life gives us options and we get to choose. And so I've chosen some things that were positive, some things that were good, and I made some decisions that were not so good. So I ain't mad at nobody. I get mad with myself. I don't even get mad with God anymore. I get mad with myself for the time that I put out, maybe in the wrong places, at the wrong time, doing the wrong things. That's it. It leads me into what I call mixed and missed signals, because again, in relationships, you know, our actions and our words should not contradict each other. So we get what we allow. If I, Brenda, have set up a scenario where I come over to see you all the time in your place, but you don't come see me in mine, there's no sharing that way. I love going out. I love eating out. I love sitting out in cafes. But if you don't like doing that, if you don't like sharing that space, well, now we've got a little bit of conflict going on in our relationship. You can't call him a dog, right? And expect him to act like a man and have any dignity about himself. He can't scream that you're a bee and don't do anything right and then expect you to feel worthy, cook you a top chef meal, and then want to serve you some of her and love all over you for dessert. That's not going to happen. So, it doesn't even have to have that kind of drama to create mixed signals. What are you saying? What are you allowing? Because we get what we allow. If you allow disrespect, well, then you're probably going to get some disrespect. If you allow being treated as a victim, you're going to be victimized. The other is silence, because silence also is a powerful weapon. And so what was happening is, and we weren't sure what was happening, but whenever we would take a trip, the first day and first night would be great. And then we'd go downhill from there. And these would typically be, again, business trips. Some were just kind of pleasure trips. Couldn't figure out what happened after the first day. But there was always some conflict. And we didn't have conversations about it, because what we would do is retreat. He'd go off in his corner, I'd go off in my corner. Now we're playing the silent treatment, right? And then that would just tick us both off more. But we didn't want to say anything because we were afraid that we were going to hurt the other person's feelings or say something out of the way. It's easy to do when you're hurt, when you're upset. So we wouldn't say much of anything. Missed conversations create conflict and confusion. Missed conversations create conflict and confusion because now we're playing the guessing game. So I'm guessing he's acting up because he really got somebody else that he really wants to be with, right? And he's trying to set me up and use all kinds of excuses, why things aren't working out. But it doesn't have to be that way. So you need to have the conversations when things occur. You need to have the conversations as things are going on and not hold on to them. We tend to hold on to things too long, and then they become bitterness, resentfulness, confusion, conflict. We tend to want to put the pieces to the puzzle together, even though we don't have all the pieces. And ladies, I know you can relate to this because men have patterns. Well, I'll let you know that little secret. So when the patterns start to change, and they could change for various reasons, but we kind of tend to know if something's up. At least we think we do. So your mind starts playing games and tricks on you, right? Because you don't really have the answers. You really don't always know the truth, but you're going to make up some stuff to make you feel more comfortable about what you think you do know. And then that leads to accusations, finger pointing, all those little things going on there that then start the arguments, right? The disagreements. Been there, done that. And I see Letitia smiling. So I'm sure that many of you out there are smiling on that one. Control versus concession, or giving some conceding. We were too busy talking past each other, because we both wanted to be right. We both wanted to be right. Now remember, I'm the oldest of 10. So I was always used to being in control and in charge. And in fact, that's still the case today because I've always been pushed into leadership positions where I'm in control and I'm in charge. And I take it seriously. I really do. But once those feelings get hurt, then the pride starts coming into place. And there was some competition, I think, going on too. I think as women, we have the thing about professional versus non-professional, white collar versus blue collar. There's a little competition going on. Education levels. Somebody who's gone to college has a degree, somebody who hasn't. All those things come into play in relationships. And even though, we give it all we got, we're saying to ourselves, it doesn't matter to me. I love this man. It doesn't matter to me whether he has a degree or not. It does make a difference. I can remember my first and second marriage. Neither of my husbands had a college degree. And I'll never forget when I separated from my second husband, and he said to me that day, I finally have control of my life. Well, that hit me like a ton of bricks because I had worked so hard to raise 2 girls, to be a mom, to be a wife, to be a professional businesswoman. for him to say, I finally have control. But it took me back, and I had to really think about that. Was I that demanding? Was I that controlling? And, in some ways I have to think, maybe I was, because I wanted to get things done. I'm about getting things done. I'm about bringing things to some kind of conclusion. And so I had to own that. I had to accept that. But it hurt to hear that I had had that kind of impact on somebody else's life. Stop talking past each other and wanting to be right. Differences versus common interests. Same thing here. My mom used to always say, find somebody with interests that you have in common. But we're all hard-headed, right? I mean, what's that all about? So I now look at, well, what does the other person have to offer? And there's so much good about this other person. They're really good with their hands. They're crafty. I'm good with my mind, my head. I'm analytical, right? So we really have some opposite things, but we have some common things going on. I don't want to have to deal with the car, fixing this and learning how to do this and learning how to do that. This person can do all of that and then some. Home improvement. I mean, something break. God gave him the gift of working with his hands. God gave him that gift. And so you got to find out where you're different. Where are you bumping heads, and why are you bumping heads? And when we would go away, what we found out was that we both wanted to be in control. I was used to being in control. And if I'm on a business trip and I've got to be X places speaking, I got meetings going on at different times, I need you to do what you got to do so that I'm not running late. And I'm always frantic. There's always something going on. I'm always running behind. But he took that as disrespect. He took that as disrespect, right? And barking and being demanding of him. And he's a man. And men, I've learned, are very sensitive about respect. I hear it, I see it all the time with couples that are out, whether they're married or not, shopping, and the barking that goes on, the tone, the voice tones. Even I shudder when I hear that now because I'm much more sensitive to it. But all those things make a difference in how you come across to somebody and how they then respond and react to you. Let's talk about obligation versus consent. Fortunately, we never had a scenario where we didn't enjoy being with each other. Physically, which is amazing. Again, in 18 years, there's never been a bad moment. I'll just share that. But I know that many women go through conceding when it comes to the physical intimacy. So you're using your physical body to restrict or limit contact. That's like using a weapon. That's like punishing somebody, right? How do you have a fulfilling relationship when you are pulling away from rather than going towards somebody? So that it may result in forced acts or demands on the part of the male counterpart. Withholding of sex. What's that all about? You want the intimacy. We want gentleness. We want care. We want mutual pleasure. And I recently, again, read that you got to make love to a woman's mind first and then her body. And I thought that was a very powerful thought because we want to be tended to. We want to be tended to. We want to be cared for. We want to feel like you're feeling us. So men, anybody out there, you got to make love to her mind first and get her comfortable by being with you, right? That she's safe with you. And then the intimacy comes. Obligation versus consent. Nobody wants to feel as if they have to give up something, that you're demanding it of them, because that's disrespectful to us. And I know this is going to sound pretty raw, but I've overheard women who say, I felt like a trash can when we finished having our sex act because they felt like they had just been dumped into. That's a terrible feeling. That's a bad place to be. Selfishness versus selflessness. What people say typically is what they mean. And so if there's this I versus me or we, mine versus ours or yours, that sends a message, that there's no sharing, that it's all about you. It's all about him individually, not collectively. Again, we didn't have any throwdowns, but my special someone has 6 brothers. And so when he was raised, like I was raised with 10 kids, the guys were always beating up on each other. So his tendency to want to retain some privacy, right, then was impacted. So there's still a tendency to want to keep some things to you. And what he calls stingy, I call selfish, but it's that kind of a thing. And so he'll speak in terms of, well, when I, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, what about me? But we didn't talk about that before, right? So again, you have to bring some things up and you have to pay attention to some things, because otherwise they just kind of go beyond you. They go past you and they pile up, and that's what starts causing the issues. But nobody has brought it out into the surface, into the open. So I've learned several things that I'll share with you. The lessons learned that there were 3 primary areas that need focus and improvement. And the one is respect. The second is control. And the third was communication, how we were communicating or lack thereof. Respect, control, and communication. And so I found myself being very, very sensitive to how I spoke, the tone of my voice, that I did not have to always be right. Again, I'm one of those people who, if you say something, I love sharing information, and you happen to share something, but it's not quite true or quite the full story, that I'm going to pipe up and say, yeah, but blah, 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 blah. And what I realize is it's not that important. It's not that important. Allow the other person their voice. Allow the other person their time to share. I don't need to counter that, right? We're just having conversation. It's information exchange. And we all have our own story and our own journey, and so does he. So it's selfish of me to expect somebody who I'm in a relationship with to play the role that I've cast for them, with the script I've prepared, and how I want the story to end. And that's what we tend to do. You need to fit in my mold. You need to do what I want you to do. You need to compliment me in this way when we go out and do these things so that I'm not embarrassed. I mean, that's really the wrong way of looking at it, because that individual also has feelings and they want to be respected. And so when I would raise my voice without even realizing that I had raised my voice, was causing a problem. Set expectations and control the outcomes. So if we go out now, we basically know when we watch each other's signals, when it's time to go. I don't need to stay and dance all night long and close the club down anymore, right? Pay attention and observe the behavior, because patterns leave clues. Changes in patterns leave clues. I'd also say, let's dump the trash. Dump the trash more often, and don't wait for the garbage to get full. We tend to want to have everything dump in there, and then when things start going awry, we want to kind of pull it apart and see what happened. Turn the assumptions and the accusations into actual reality. Stop projecting fault, placing blame, and making puzzle pieces fit where they don't fit. I learned to say what you mean and mean what you say. And don't expect, him to know exactly what it is I want or I need, or even what I'm thinking. I got to say it. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. But if I don't express what I need, how is he supposed to know, right? He's just guessing. He's just guessing. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So your voice tone, your expression, your impatience even with some things or with some people, those are all key. I'm not going to always have my way, just the way I want it. And we won't always agree. So let's just agree to disagree and respect each other's opinions and views. I mean, everybody gets a turn to speak because we both have voices, and that's okay. That's okay. Now think about how you make the other person feel. How are they when you leave? Are they upset? Are they hurt? Because Maya Angelou says that people will forget most of what you said, and they'll even forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I'm much more sensitive to that now. And it doesn't, and that goes beyond just, again, the partnership relationship. That goes into all kinds of other relationships as well. And I would say, listen and learn and value the different perspectives, because again, we all have a voice, and one person doesn't know it all and have to be right all the time, and concede sometimes just to keep the peace. We're good with that. Sometimes you have to just concede, let them think that they won. So I'm going to end where I started, with the scripture, 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7, that love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. And love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. So I'm Brenda Small, and I thank you for sharing and caring and having me, Letitia, on this platform.
You're welcome.
I do have a complimentary bonus gift. So if everybody would go over to www.brendasmall.com, that's my website, and I want you to put in the VIP access code under the special offer tab. The special offer tab. The VIP code is PWP 0215. That's all together, PWP 0215, and download the motivational MP3, Claim Your Vision, Value, and Voice. Claim Your Vision, Value, and Voice. PWP 0215 is the VIP access code. And I'd like to, we'll figure it out, again, give away a couple of complimentary copies of my new book that's coming up. And pre-orders are going to be coming soon, so stay tuned to social media for the upcoming announcement on that. Thank you, Letitia.
You are so welcome. I have an idea. So how many you want to give away? 5?
5.
Okay. All right. I am going over to Purpose Professionals. If you're in Purpose Professionals, I just posted the number 5. I need you to go in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The first 5 people to comment under my 5 will get these 5 books. Again, go over to Purpose Professionals. I just posted the number 5. The first 5 people that post up under my number 5 will get a copy of her book. And didn't I tell you she was amazing? Didn't I tell you that she was absolutely amazing? Okay. Arena is number 1. Arena is number 1. Arena is number 1. Okay, there's 1. The first 5 people. Okay, I think we got, we got 3. We got Arena, Danica, Jean, and Tani. 1 more. Only 1 more. 1 more. They're coming in fast. 1 more. If you're not a part of Purpose Professionals, get over there now. I know it's a whole bunch of you here, and I know if you're not a part of Purpose Professionals, you're missing out on your free product. The next person, and Torrance Williams. Woohoo! That's it. He said, woohoo! Go ahead. Oh, that is funny. Wait a minute. Oh, man. Arena, Danica, Jean, Tani, then it was Torrance, and Erica Hicks. Erica Hicks came in right after Torrance. I'm sorry.
How many is that? How many is that, Letitia?
Oh, and Michelle. Oh my goodness. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that came in.
Okay. We'll do 7.
We'll do 7. Okay, 7 is the magic number. 7 is completion. Woo woo! That's what I'm talking about. Glory to God. I love them numbers. That's 7. That 7 is completion. So here are our winners. Arena Tenen, Danica Booth, Jean Gardner, Tani Lane, Torrance Williams, Erica Hicks, Michelle Kirkpatrick. You guys are the winners tonight of this bonus, and you're gonna get a book. So what we're gonna do is we got to get your addresses. I need all of you guys. All of you guys are connected to me. I need you to send me your address so I can get it over to Brenda Small. I told you guys she was amazing. Didn't I? Y'all gonna make me run around this house. Didn't I tell you that she was amazing? She was a Speak Life speaker on last year. I mean, she's just amazing, you guys. She's amazing. And I thank you for gracing us with your just all of your nuggets. That's so just wisdom. And so you guys, I'm going to go back and read some of these things that she posted. And they're saying, woohoo, everybody's excited. So I'm going back to, I mean, she gave us a lot of nuggets. Thank you, Arena, for sending your address. Thank you. So that's Arena in Greensboro, North Carolina. Adrian said, missed conversation create conflicts and confusion. She said, oh, yes, Brenda Smalls. And Latasha Williams from Greensboro, she said, yeah, I made it on. The authentic self is the soul made visible. I love it. I love it. Danica Booth said, that is deep. The lies you live overshadow the truth you hide. Absolutely. I mean, love or lust, lies versus truth. I tell you the truth. Stop pointing fingers and placing blame. Whoo, ain't that the truth? Oh, she gave us some awesome nuggets. Where's some more? Using your body as a weapon. Whoo,
gotta keep it real.
Yes, you kept it real. Obligations versus consent. You don't want to feel like it's an obligation. She said some women felt like they were being used as garbage cans, or what did she say? Garbage cans, or yeah. Thank you, Michelle, for your address. I have your address. Thank you very much. Make love to the woman's mind first. Hashtag Brenda Small. Speak Life speaker. I'm loving it. Respect, control, communication. Thank you, Danica. We got your address. Thank you so much. Allow other people their time to share. Oh my God. I mean, just merely allow. I love it. I love it. Jean Garner said, allow them to share. Set expectation and control the outcome. I mean, you gave some amazing nuggets that we can use for all relationships. Like you said, just not husband and wife. We can use these nuggets for all relationships. Okay. Torrance Williams says, send the book to his wife. All right, now that's what we'll do. Got it, sir. Changes and pattern leave clues. And what I think is amazing, it's a man saying, send that book to his wife, and he's on here listening. And that's a good man. That's a good man. He's like, oh, changes and pattern leave clues. We don't got that problem over here. I know that's right, Torrance. I know that's right. Well, again, I want to thank you. You are simply amazing. Please put your information out there for them and Purpose Professionals, Brenda. Make sure you put everything out there so it can be fresh, because I know we put it in earlier and we done tweeted and shared and all this stuff, and it kind of pushed the information down. So we want it to be fresh and new. So please put your information out there. You guys go on her website. Make sure you put your website also on Purpose Professionals. And here's my bonus to you tonight, you guys. Everybody that's here, go on Purpose Professionals right now and add your link so we can like your pages, build your audience. Add your link, add your business link right now. Let's do that for each other. Add your link so we can help one another grow. And you spoke about that too. You spoke about helping each other grow and pushing each other up. And I think that's very important. So please add your business on Purpose Professionals. So again, Brenda Small can connect with you as well. Okay. Do you have some awesome nuggets that you want to give them, or another a point that you want to give them before you leave, Brenda?
I would just say again, before you speak life into any mutual relationship, you got to speak life to yourself, because what you carry, again, what's on the inside will show up on the outside. So you want to make sure that your internal self is actually ready to live, and then you can speak life into somebody else.
Amazing. Amazing. You guys, on tomorrow we have another speaker, but I just can't thank you enough for gracing us with your amazing mind, and your testimony, and being so authentic and raw, and just giving it to us like it is, that we can we can make it applicable in our lives, and add it to our relationships. And thank you so much, for again coming on the Speak Life platform. Just thank you. I mean, 2 years in a row. Woohoo!
Thank you, Letitia.
Yeah. And we love you. And y'all just remember that if God be for you, who can be against you? And that's in anything, in your business, in your relationship, in your career. Just know to keep going with God. Keep Him first. One thing she said that I will remember, she said, Christianity, you have to be equally yoked first in your business. And trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not into your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. And that's even to a perfect mate, or where no one's perfect, but perfect for you, mate. Okay? All right. We love you. Thank you so much, Brenda.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.